Hello and welcome to mufcMPB. I'm your host Ash Meppers. Let's go United! Come on! What a win! Absolute fantastic performance. Fantastic last 4-5 minutes of the game. McTominay scoring 2 goals. Come on United! Let's go! Big result. We needed that. We were desperate for that. We needed it to pick up the morale. We needed it to pick up the just the spirits, the belief again with the fans, the belief in the lads in the dressing room, the belief of the staff, the belief of the manager. It was looking ropey for big parts of that game, for big parts of the game. But today we'll be talking about the breakdown. We'll be talking about David Beckham's got something to say on the takeover, amongst other things. If you've not already, make sure you've hit that like button. Make sure you've subscribed. Come and join yourselves and welcome in to this evening of absolute amazement of a Manchester United win. It feels like so long since we had one of them. It feels like such a long time since we've had a Manchester United win. I don't even know what it feels like. Let me just quickly check this. And yeah, today, I mean, I've heard people question and I've heard people say that it wasn't the greatest performance today. You know, I was listening, as I always do, to Talk Sport on the way home from the game, and to be honest, the way they were going on saying it was a terrible performance, that was different. That was different to what I saw. I saw Onana make one mistake, and other than that, I don't remember Brentford having too many chances at goal. I remember having the ball a little bit. I remember, a few long throws into the box, a few clearances, but generally, I don't think Onana had to do much. I felt we performed fairly well today. I mean, listen, let us know your opinions, your thoughts. What did you think of the game today? Did you think we played well enough to deserve the victory? Do you think this still needs lots of improvements? Who played well? Who played poorly? What were your thoughts on today's game? If you was able to pick it up wherever you are. The camera keeps going blurry. Oh, right. It shouldn't do now. There we go. It only happens when I stream to YouTube. That, but don't worry about that. Wyatt, welcome in. Sky says, "Glory, Man United. Let's go. Come on." In Fergie time for Lady Cafe. Absolute fantastic. That was one of the first things that came to mind after celebrating was, Sir Alex will kind of feel like Cafe played a part in that game almost. That 2 Fergie time, injury time winners. It was fantastic and not the best way to start the week, but hopefully a decent way for the Ferguson family to end the week. Live chat with Bex, you say? Well, I mean, we've got some interesting live chats coming up tomorrow with Anil Kandola. He'll be speaking to Ben Jacobs, so make sure you're in and you're watching that. He'll be interviewing Ben Jacobs, esteemed journalist. That'll be an interesting interview tomorrow, so make sure you're here for that from 7 p.m. on the Sunday. 20 Legend says, poor from Casemiro, Lindelof and Onana for the first goal, and then Brentford just defended. A bit frustrating that the team wasn't able to create too much, but got there in the end. Yeah, I mean, initially, Casemiro giving that ball away, I mean, his passing's been poor these last couple of months. He has been a little bit of a weakness and a weak link of our midfield. Especially when you play like a sole-holding defensive midfielder, you need almost everything to be perfect and everything to be spot on, because if you give the ball up from that position, you're inviting a heavy counter-attack in your own half, a quick transition which leaves your defence with a little bit of an overload and difficult to kind of recover, and it has everyone scrambling. As you saw Victor Lindelof scramble, and I don't know what he was doing putting the ball back onto the penalty spot from where he was at the time. I was sat next to a lady who was blaming Maguire. Maguire was nowhere near it. I checked the footage at half time, and it was Lindelof with a bad clearance, 2 bad clearances really. And we've seen for the past couple of weeks and months, Lindelof's been a kind of a weakness and a weak link for us at the back for the last 5 or 6 games. You saw that against Galatasaray, and he's not good enough. But you look at the team and you look at the centre-back pairing that we started with today. When you consider we started with Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans, I mean, that was, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was a Leicester centre-back pairing from 5 years ago, was it not? You know, absolute madness. You look at our entire back four, and what you could say is, arguably, if you want to say Aaron Wan-Bissaka's the first choice at right back, then our entire back four was injured and out of the game today. So that was a complete reserve, a complete backup back four in Dalot, Lindelof, Maguire and Evans. I thought Evans, I was reading some of the breakdown and some of the reactions to the game after the game, and people saying that Evans, they felt like Evans had a poor game. I disagree with that. I thought Evans, looking at it live, looking at it on the field, you know, I thought he had a good game today. He looked like he was up for every challenge, every ball over the top, every ball aerially. He was there. He was quick to defend, and I thought he had a decent performance today. And same with Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire, a little bit dawdles, frustrating on the ball. You know, when you can hear that in the crowd, we're there screaming and shouting and moaning at Strakosha for taking long on the goal kicks, and then Harry Maguire, when he's got the ball at the centre back in the build up play, he's taking just as long. You know, it's frustrating to see. You want that build up to be quick, to kind of to have the tempo, the fast speed and stuff like that. By the way, boys, I'll be bringing my match vlog at some point tomorrow, so keep your eye out for that one. It'll be an absolute cracker, I imagine, for the match vlog tomorrow. Ash Meppers at YouTube. Make sure, if you've not already, to hit that like button and subscribe, and go follow us over at X Twitter, which is at mufcMPB. You can also follow me at Ash Meppers to keep up to date with all your latest transfer and Manchester United news. Like I said, Anil Condola will be coming in tomorrow with Ben Jacobs, you know, esteemed journalist. So make sure you keep your eyes and stay tuned in for that one tomorrow, as it's going to be exciting. But I mean, what a performance today. One of the standouts for me, I've got to be honest, was Diogo Dalot. I thought Diogo Dalot had a great game today on the ball going forward, and you know, he seemed to have like a renewed sense of energy, like on that right hand side. He looked fantastic a few times, pushing the ball past his man and powering past him. In the final third, he probably could have done a little bit more to create overlaps for the right-hand side players in Bruno and Anthony toward the end. And even at one point, Anthony and Mason Mount were screaming at him to create those overlaps. But I thought Dalot had a decent, a very, very good performance today. I was very happy with it. Vic says Maguire did really well, I thought, today. I agree, Vic. I thought Maguire came in and he looked stable. For the first goal, you can't really put it on his toes. He was nowhere near the ball. Like I said, Casemiro gives the ball up way too easily in our own half, and then there's an overload, and Victor Lindelof scrambles and struggles to kind of clear it, and yeah. We conceded a scrappy goal, which was unnecessary. After playing fairly well in the game and having a few chances, typical Manchester United style over the past, couple of months, where we're playing in games and we're playing fairly well. You saw that against Brighton, dominating the first 20 minutes. You saw that against Bayern Munich, dominating the first 20 minutes. Same with Crystal Palace. And then first attack, first counter, goal. You know, we're looking very fragile at the back. And we've got to question Onana. What was those? I mean, you know, Papadomans or what? You know, it's so brittle, so weak, so soft, and you know, it's coming from fans that we've witnessed David De Gea having them kind of stone hands, them brick wall fingers. You know, we're not accustomed to it, and we're not to see it, and to see the weakness from Onana. It's poor. He's got to do better. Having said that, now it seems to be a case where the more difficult the save for Onana, the better he becomes. When it's an easy save, a routine save, something that you expect him to take control and take a hold of, he kind of flaps at it. But you saw, I think it was from Mbeumo, where he tips it over the bar, and then just a few moments after that, also getting his hand to it to push the ball away into the corner for a corner kick for Brentford. I thought that other than the soft goal, he performed okay today. He performed fairly well, but again, you're a goalkeeper and you need to make these routine stops. If you've not seen the goal, you'll see it tonight on either Match of the Day or highlights, or you can catch on YouTube some highlights there, and you'll see it wasn't good enough. It's not what you want from a top draw goalkeeper, and it's maybe he's lacking confidence. Do we bring in Bayinde? What's your thoughts, lads? Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the live section or on demand if you're watching a little bit later. It'll be interesting to hear what you think about Onana and whether we should look to replace him and bring in Bayinde. Do we also bring back David De Gea? That's still a possibility. There's still an opportunity. I was speaking to a lad today all the way over from Zambia. came over to watch the game, the first game. And as much as he was, he supported and he backed Onana, he was saying that I think we need to start by in there, give him a chance, give him an opportunity, and maybe also kind of focus and ultra focus Onana into realising that he's got to fix up. This isn't acceptable. So let's see what you boys have got to say. Zoe says, "Evening, United lads. Congrats on the win. Thank you very much, Zoe. Appreciate it. It was much needed. You could feel the relief. You could feel the kind of the angst in the stadium at 90 minutes. You could feel it at 70 minutes. Just the frustration, the kind of fans withdrawn. And again, I'm seeing too many fans leaving early. Now, you can make the excuse of Old Trafford, there's traffic and all that, but I don't like seeing it. I don't like seeing people leave early. I mean, especially knowing the culture, knowing the history of Manchester United, knowing that it's embedded in our blood, in the grass, in the stadium, in the stands, in the dressing room. We've got that ability to come back late, and we've not seen that of late under Ten Hag. And it was something that a lot of fans who I've been speaking to have been questioning. Are we able to turn around defeats and turn around deficits at the moment? And it was a big relief to see us come back and get those 2 goals from a fantastic Scott McTominay. Imperious performance from him coming off the bench and kind of taking it on his back, taking the club to the first victory in quite a little while, to be honest. So yeah. Vic says, what's happened to Cass this season compared to last season? It could be a case of the Fabinho's. We saw it Fabinho last season, the season prior. He was an exceptional player going on to play in the Champions League final, almost pushed to win another Premier League and win an FA Cup. And then last season, he came in and he collapsed as a player. And Fabinho's much younger. I think Fabinho's, 30, and Casemiro's, 33, 32, 33. So I do worry about Casemiro, and even the Brazil fans. I try and pick up the Brazil international games. Even they're calling for him to be dropped at the moment, which is worrying. So he needs to fix up in his performance. Now, having said that, he does start the season a little bit rusty. He has done forever at Real Madrid, and he did do. To be fair to him, when he first came in at Manchester United, Ten Hag didn't even start him. You remember the City game? We were all clamouring for him to start in the 6-3 loss, and he didn't. Ten Hag saw at the time he needed to be brought up to a standard to actually be brought in. Now, right now, we kind of need him in the team. There's no other options to put him in there. But you saw at half time he was hauled off. Amrabat was played in his position, and Eriksen was brought on, and you saw us have a little bit more control in the midfield, and the passing became a little bit cleaner, a little bit more accurate, and we looked to control the game a lot more, as we did in the second half. And I thought it was a great performance. Cash just 31 in February. You know what? He's looking much older, isn't he, Scotty? I've got to be honest. He's looking much older. Mash says, McSauce, big tasty sauce. Well, I don't want to get any trademark infringements, but I will just say McSauce was delicious. Sounds a bit suspect, that, doesn't it? On the football field. Onana might have been a bit blocked by Lindelof sliding the block of the shot, but still poor. He isn't able to get his hand down quick enough. You know what? It's not about getting his hand down quick enough. He got his hand down there. It was just, his hand was supple. It was weak. It was poor. It didn't have the strength. It didn't have the... just the ability to stop the ball from going in. You saw Garnacho as well, boys. Can we talk about Garnacho for a moment? What a performance. Comes off the bench. When do we start discussing Rashford being benched? I hate to say it. As a fellow Mancunian, I want to see my Mancunian boy do well. I want to see him perform. He's feeding the kids. He's embracing Manchester United and the culture and the history and being a fantastic ambassador for the club. But his performances on the football field, it's not been good enough. We have to be honest about it. In the first half today, I didn't see much from him. I saw a few times him beat his man, put the ball across the box. Nothing specific, nothing accurate. Just kind of speculative balls into the box. There was an opportunity in the second half where he looked in a tight space and he nearly caught Strakosha off guard at his near post, but the shot was weak. Not enough power in it, and again, just not creating enough opportunities. And there's no kind of link up there with Bruno Fernandes or Højlund. There's no partnerships being built. You saw where Garnacho come onto the field and he looked dangerous. You know, Brentford had to put 2 men on him at one point because every time he was getting the ball going down that left-hand side, he was causing problems. He was stretching the team. He was creating spaces, and you saw him create the first goal. You know, him go down to the byline, you know, swing the ball into the box, and McTominay somehow miraculously got that ball under control and then swung his right foot at it, and what a finish, what a goal. You know, absolute fantastic finish. I couldn't believe it. You know, the crowd went crazy. Tony Bravo says, does McTominay get a start from this? Who does he start ahead of, though? That's what we've got to ask the question. You know, where does he go? Where does he play? Where does he fit in? McTominay is great as an auxiliary player, as someone to come in off the bench, but in regard to starting, he's not really a number 6. He's not a number 8. You could say he's a number 10, but his passing range, he's a goal-scoring number 10, isn't he? That's the way you look at McTominay. And maybe we need a goal-scoring number 10, but right now, you know, also we need to create chances, and McTominay doesn't really create those kind of chances. He offers height in the box with the ball being delivered into the box. I just can't see who he starts ahead of. That's the issue with McTominay. Does he start ahead of Mason Mount or Bruno Fernandes? I'm not too sure, but he probably deserves a start. You know, you look at I was listening to Diogo Dalot after the game, and he was saying how McTominay is a model professional, and he inspires Dalot into performing better in training, because McTominay comes in every single day, and you know he's one of the hardest workers in the squad. Now, should that be rewarded? I think it should be rewarded. But also, Hannibal Mejbri. I was sad to not see Hannibal Mejbri in the team today. You know, we've seen him against Burnley. We've seen him against Galatasaray in the first half. Exceptional energy levels. You know, incredible performance. His pass accuracy, his pressing numbers. He's got it all, really. Even his ability to score a goal. You've seen that against Brighton when he came on in that poor defeat, unfortunately. But yeah, it's one of those where I just can't see where McTominay starts. Does he start ahead of Amrabat in the midfield? I wouldn't believe so. So that's it's a tough question. I think off the bench is where he'll still come off. I do believe. Vic says, I think Eriksen needs to be in the starting lineup going forwards. Eriksen to me, whenever he starts, we don't play well. But whenever he comes off the bench around half time, like we saw against Galatasaray, although we lost that game, and you know we Casemiro got sent off and we conceded late on. Eriksen is a player that kind of, he looks better when the energy levels have dropped in the opponents. So that to me shows that he's not up to it in the first 45 minutes when everyone's at full kind of energy level, full conditioning. You know, they're able to kind of get about Eriksen and close him down quickly. Once he comes on in the second half and the players have almost lost a step, you know, they've had 45 minutes in the legs. They're a little bit, they're not as quick to close down players, and that's when you see Eriksen kind of shine. And I feel like second half is probably going to be what he's going to be used for the foreseeable future. And when you question, really, you look at Eriksen, he had to leave the Italian league because of the cardio issue for Inter Milan, but not many teams were quick to pick him up. You saw him get picked up by Brentford, and then from Brentford he was a starter, and you know, and then he moves to Manchester United. And really, you know, should he be starting for Manchester United right now? I think we need better quality in there. I thought Mason Mount had a decent game today. Bruno, what's happened to Bruno, boys? What's happened? There's been a massive regression. I think that just the sheer amount of goals, the sheer amount of games that he's had to play over the last 12, 18 months has started to take its toll. I think rested him for a few games, maybe even go as far as to, as we've seen with Sir Alex has done in the past, send him away for a little while, you know, give him a little bit of a break, let his legs rest and recuperate, and kind of find that renewed vigour that he needs to bring back to the Manchester United team, because right now Bruno's not been offering enough. You know, a few poor passes, final third, you're just not seeing any kind of end products with him. You're seeing him also a little bit nervous to put the ball on the toes of the strikers and the forward players. Like he's not firing the ball into Højlund, and he's not firing it into Rashford or Mason Mount when they're getting into good positions. He's almost always going back to recycling. Now, whether that is a instruction for Erik Ten Hag, I can't imagine so, because at some point we have to feed the ball into the strikers, into the forward players. So it's an issue of where do we go with Bruno Fernandes. I'm not too sure, but let us know your thoughts. Again, make sure you like, you subscribe. If you've not already, get your comments in the chat. Let us know what you thought about the game. Let us know if this is going to be a turnaround for Manchester United now. Much needed win before the international break. A relief more than anything. I don't know what you boys are feeling. Let us know what you're feeling. If you're feeling jubilation, if you're ecstatic. If you're just feeling a sense like I am of relief. I mean, coming out of that stadium, getting that second goal, it was madness. Oh, it was madness. Limbs everywhere. I'm grabbing and pushing everybody. I wasn't. There was two ladies next to me. Almost, smooching and all sorts. You know what I mean? It was wonderful. It was fantastic. Loved it. We needed that. It's felt like a long time we've had a Fergie winner at Old Trafford, even though it's not been too long. But yeah, we needed that. It shows how poor the losses have been lately. Mash says, doesn't Rashford also have slow starts to the season? By this point in the season, I think Mash had scored 5 in 7. So last season he was on fire. This season he's scored one in about 7 or 8. Then Amrabat as the number 6. What you saying there, legend? Repeat that for us if you please could. Better for him to come in as a sub and help control the game more. I believe so with Eriksen. Yeah. Zoe said, I'd like to see the start of how many chances McTominay needs. That's a great shout, because McTominay is one of them players. You see him with the international break. You see him for Scotland. He scored 2 goals against Spain. Goals against... I forgot who they played recently. I was gonna say Serbia, but it wasn't Serbia. It was one of the Eastern European nations. But yeah, McTominay, he doesn't need too many chances, and he was at youth a striker, so he does know how to put the ball in the back of the net, and he's got a knack of knowing where the goal is. So at some point we've got to start trying to use him up there top. Okay, maybe bringing him off the bench. That's going to be his role for the foreseeable future. But I want to see him being brought on a little bit earlier as well. He's also an option to swing the ball into the box as well, which we saw a lot in the last 10-15 minutes of the game. And I'd like to see that a little bit earlier in the game as well. Just put the ball into the box. If the strikers aren't being given the opportunity to get onto the end of them, then they're not going to score. All this passing around sideways, all this trying to invite a press and then break through it. We're just not good at it at the moment. We're not able to receive the ball in the midfield and then turn on a half turn and then progress the ball. Every time you're seeing it so far is the ball gets moved from Evans to Maguire to the fullback to Casemiro or Eriksen, and we're pressed so quickly the ball goes back to Onana. Onana then plays the ball over the top, or attempts to, but Rashford's terrible in the air. Højlund is, but at that point he's a sole striker, so he's got 2 centre backs. He's basically got the pressing, the up close centre back, and then he's got the relief centre back there to kind of pick up any of the balls. So right now the tactics, if the players were adhering to the tactics with the energy and the tempo and the kind of tenacity and the fight and the desire, then yeah, they'd be fantastic. But at this moment in time, the players seem scared to death. They seem scared to death of the press. You see, when we try and press Brentford, it looks so easy for them to get around our press. It was poor. It was weak from Manchester United. So it's interesting how we're going to go going forward. Brooks, how's it going, Brooks? Welcome in, mate. Brooks will be back on Monday, I believe. Brooks? Or is that me? That's me. I'm back on Monday. I'd imagine maybe Tuesday. Tony Bravo says, did you hear David Beckham? Basically, yeah, we'll talk about that soon, Tony Bravo. Mash says, he said nothing. Wait, hold on. Mike says, hey Ash, you streaming EFC at the game cycle? Not at the moment, no. We'll be doing Manchester United streams from now on, so I've got no plans to do any EFC streams. But keep an eye out. You never know. But I'm not too interested to be playing that game at the moment. Big Ron says, Me Too movement. Oh, with me attempting to kiss the ladies. I mean, I didn't make any attempts, but there's a moment where I want to grab and squeeze everybody. Do you know what I mean? When you get those last minute winners at Old Trafford, I want to be grabbing everyone. Screaming and shouting. It's just the jubilation. It does something to you different. Do you know what I mean? It sends you into a crazy place where all of a sudden, you know, we're all one. Brooks says they won that for Cafe. Oh, it felt. You know what? I'm not the biggest believer in kind of all that kind of stuff, but it does. At moments with Old Trafford, there is that little bit of magic there, isn't there? You know, what a moment for Sir Alex. He'll be sat there having his nice red wine that he likes to enjoy, and he'll be sat there, you know, probably toasting Cafe and saying thank you for that, because that felt poetic, didn't it? It felt very timely, and what a wonderful way to win the game on a terrible week for the Ferguson family. And we send all our love and condolences to the Ferguson family at this difficult time. And it's. Yeah, it was what a win for Cafe. Well said, Brooks. Well said. Scotty said he had 2 player of the months last season, didn't he, Rashi? I think did he have more than that? I believe Scotty, was it just 2? It felt like more. It was fantastic. Big Ron says no one thinks teams have done their homework on Rashford. 2-3 players on him, leave him no space to run into. Yeah, teams have done that, but also what you've then got to do, and what Rashford doesn't help himself with, is he needs to instigate 1-2s. Rashford, it's okay running at your men, but sometimes. Get over Bruno Fernandes or get over Mason Mount, whoever was playing on that side. I mean, Bruno's moved over to the left-hand side in the second half. And then you've got to start creating 1-2s. And Rashford, for me, is not physical enough. He doesn't battle with the defenders. He seems to get touched and gets pushed, and then he stops, and then he looks at the referee, and you see that when comparing to Garnacho. Garnacho he's got that Argentinian fire, that desire, that spirit. Do you know what I mean? And you see him on the ball. You see him when players are pushing him around. He fights. He's got that anger. He's got a little bit of that Carlos Tevez about him, where he doesn't want to give up the ball. It's his ball. He's like a dog at the ball. You know, you ever seen those little staffies, little bulldogs and stuff with the balls? You know, you try and grab them up. They're having none of it. They're having none of it. And that reminds me very much of Garnacho. Garnacho doesn't want to give up his ball. He's fantastic. Whereas Rashford's a big, kind, lovely Labrador. Do you know what I mean? He gives the ball away the moment anyone comes close to him. So it's frustrating. And also, what I notice off camera, what you don't see of Sky Sports and what you don't see from TNT Sports is the footage of looking at Rashford when the ball's on the other side. His press. He might as well not press. He runs at someone to about 5 yards. Once he gets to 5 yards, gives up. Just gives up. I mean, you've got to press, you've got to push, you've got to leave a little bit of a mark on a player. You've got to frustrate. What the hell is this? I got a big moth thing coming in my room here. Apologies if I scream, if you hear some kind of shilly, screaming noises from me in the next couple of moments, because, like I said, I've got a big old moth here climbing, around, so. Scotty says, lol, Grace in the chat. How's it going, Strawberry Grace? Nice to see you. Bex wants Qatar. He doesn't need... no one thinks teams have done their homework on Rashford. Yeah, exactly. That win has to be a turning point for us. It's a relief more than anything. It's a big relief. We've needed that performance. We've needed that result. The performance, when you look at it, I've got to say, to be honest, I felt we performed well. You look at the opportunities that Brentford had. They didn't have too many opportunities. I think we controlled a lot of the game. We had 60 odd percent possession, 65% possession, I believe, yeah, but for the first time in Premier League history, Manchester United have trailed going into the 90th minute of a match, but then gone... What? For the first time in their Premier League history, Manchester United have trailed going into the 90th minute of a match, but then gone on to win. That doesn't seem right. That just doesn't seem... That doesn't sound... I'll move on from that, because that just doesn't sound right. That can't be right. Surely we've gone on to win games. Any ex-United players you think Garnacho is comparable to? Like I said, Sky, I think when it comes to energy, tenacity, fight, Wayne Rooney, Tevez, he's got that passion, that passion and that desire. I love to see it. In regards to frame, a little bit of Kanchelskis. He likes to run at the defenders and go at them. But yeah, I thought it was fantastic when he came off the bench. Made a massive difference. And you got a question. You got to ask. What do we do with him now? Do we start him over Marcus Rashford? What would be your opinion on that? Would you want to see Garnacho starting, or would you want to see Rashford continue to play and then Garnacho off the bench? Let us know, fellow Reds. Make sure you're getting your opinion known in the chat in the on the Twitter, wherever you like, and we'll be reading that and getting your opinion on that one. There was a moment in the 15th minute, Rashford lost the ball, didn't press. Amrabat pressed instead and told Rashford to follow his player. Rashford did for 3 metres. That player almost scored 6 seconds later. Fish, I saw it. It was right in front of me. It was frustrating. It was frustrating to see. You know, I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't understand why he's not got the effort and the desire and the will to press the ball. This might sound a bit daft, a bit silly, but I go all the way back to Ibrahimovic. Before Ibrahimovic, Marcus Rashford was a player that was constantly pressing, that had loads of energy, kind of was reminiscent of Wayne Rooney when he first came through the team. You know, loads of fight, loads of desire, a big smile on his face. Ibra comes into the team and kind of puts his arm around Rashford and says, "Keep it cool, kid. Relax. You don't have to chase everything. Just let the ball come to you." I feel like that ever since that's happened, Rashford has took on this air of superiority, this air of this belief of he deserves goals, he deserves the ball, he deserves wins. Not that work hard and it will come. That's the best attitude to have in any walk of life. You work hard, the luck will come afterwards. The results will come afterwards. It's not just going to come from your bare talent. It'll come through the hard work. You mix hard work with talent, you get fantastic results. That's obvious. It's clear to see in any walk of life. And I've said many times on this stream, on this show, that, you know, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. You know, we've seen it many times from many players. You look at, unfortunately, I hate to say, but you look at the Liverpool players over the last couple of years, the Salahs, the Manes, the Diazes, the Firminos. You look at Man City with Bernardo Silva, Sterling, Sane at Bayern. You know, these players who work hard, you know, they give everything. And you go back to Manchester United players. Do you remember our front three of Rooney, Tevez and Ronaldo? I mean, what a pressing machine that was. Incredible. I mean, what a team. Absolutely fantastic. And this team right now, it looks still like it's not got the legs for the press. It's not got the energy. And you could maybe say that Ten Hag's kind of ran them into the ground. Ten Hag's come in and he's trying to get the conditioning up, and all the players are falling apart. The legs are falling off. You've seen with Mason Mount. You've seen with Luke Shaw. You've seen with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. You've seen with Lisandro Martinez, Kobe Mainoo, time after time, you know, players injured, and the conditioning's just not there. And you know what, I've posted many times and spoken about us having the same conditioning coaches and the same sports scientists at the club now since 2012. Not good enough, really. You know, we need the best in class when it comes to the sports scientists. The mere fact that Martinez was playing with a bruised and a kind of a difficult, frustrating metatarsal, and he was taking injections and painkillers for his foot after he'd already had surgery on his foot. I mean, that's not a good sign at all. And what are our medical department doing at that point? You've got to rest him. You know, you've got to let him heal, and he's gone on now to have another surgery, and he's going to be out until January, February. So it's frustrating to see. Leeds United, best team in England, says Arthur Bushby. Who are they? Are they in the Premier League? Wait, what? I've not seen that team in the league table. I don't know about them. Leeds. Boo. Any game you can remember that United have been behind when the timer goes past 90 but turn it around and win it? Off the top of my head, no, but, you know, right now my head's all fuzzy. You know, I've been to the game and, you know, full of adrenaline, you know, absolute madness of a 90 minutes, as you would have seen if you caught the game by any chance. Big Ron says, I love Garnacho, but he has more impact as a substitute. When he starts games, he doesn't have the same impact. I agree, Big Ron. And I think the reason as to why that is because the opponent's legs are a little bit tired. You know, the minds are a little bit tired as well after focusing and concentrating for 60, 70 minutes, you know, and running hard, you know, pressing for 60, 70 minutes. Then that little Argentinian magician comes on, you know, little madman, little pitbull comes on, starts buzzing about the field, running everywhere, you know, throwing his body in and kind of roughing up the opposition. It's tough for him to handle. So I do like to see him come off the bench. But the problem right now is Rashford's just not performing as a starter. So that's why there's going to be a clamour to see Garnacho start, and it's going to be an issue until Rashford starts to perform. Matthias Karungaba says this was a really nice. Just no McTominay, fantastic to come on, in the second half and get the 2 winners. The 1 winner. It felt like 2 winners. When we scored the equaliser, it felt like a winner. It felt like it was going to be another day at Old Trafford where we're going away miserable, thinking how we lost it. We dominated a lot of the possession, controlled a lot of the game. We had a few chances, nothing spectacular, but again, just a tough day at the office. Tony Barbo says, do you think we should cash in on Rashford next summer and get a better winger? I'm biased in this. You can't ask me my opinion on this. I can't give you a true, honest statement on it, because as a Mancunian, Manchester born and raised, St Mary's Hospital and all that, live my whole life in Manchester. Well, not my whole life. I lived in Miami and lived in Spain for a little bit, but spent the majority of my life in and around Manchester. I want to see the Manchester lad do well. I want to see, there's nothing better for me as a Mancunian to see our Manchester lad wear a Manchester United shirt and go on to win trophies and win things with us at the club. I felt that with Paul Scholes, with Ryan Giggs, although he adopted Mancunian with the Neville brothers and the rest and Nicky Butt, and yeah, I want to see him perform for us. I want to see him do well, and so I wouldn't want to see him go off and play for another club. It'd be heartbreaking. So again, you can't ask me that question. I'm a little bit biased on that one. Rory says, thoughts on Casemiro, and do you know when Mino is back? Surely he'll be given a few games. Expected to be back a week or 2 after the international break. So he's back in training now, but he's barely up to match fitness. It's going to take a little while. So I imagine he'll be brought in slowly, similar to how Amrabat was, and he's got all the opportunity to get into that team though and take Casemiro's place, because Casemiro's, so far he's been poor. He's been poor, and again, I point to the fact that Casemiro does start seasons pretty slow, but at some point he's got to turn it around. It's not been good enough. Eric Ten Hag said, I have to thank the fans. They were behind us all game. We're always behind. I mean, boys, fellow Reds, we always have the belief, we always have the will and the desire to see Manchester United win the games. Old Trafford's always buzzing. We're the best fan base in the world. You hear Leeds fans and you hear Arsenal fans in the chat, and you see other people coming in, and they'll claim they're the best fans in the world, but then you look to their league cups and you see the stadium half empty, and you look at them, the Europa League and stuff like that, and the stadium's half empty. Europa League, we sell the stadium out. League Cup, doesn't matter who we play, we sell the stadium out. Away allocations, we always sell out the away European allocations. Every single time you try and get an away ticket, it's nightmare. It's so difficult. United fans are there. We are there and we support our team. So, yeah, Eric Ten Hag should be used to that by now. We're there big with the support. Sometimes to a fault. Now, you could say it would be better if we could, leave the stadium and exit the stadium for the Glazers out protests. But, personally, I think stopping the games would be better than walking out the stadium. Because you've seen with the sit-ins. And I think the sit-in is actually better than leaving the stadium during the game. I think the sit-in at least costs the Glazers money. They've got to stay for an extra hour. They've got to pay the security staff overtime and stuff like that. So I'd like to see a few more sit-ins. I was at the last sit-in at Old Trafford. Can't remember who was it against. But yeah, I was there. I was there for the full hour. Chanting Glazer out, Malcolm in the box, all that. So I'd like to see more sit-ins and try and get these Glazer bar stewards out. Eric Ten Hag, I have the fans to thank. I mean, you know what? It would not have surprised me to see Ten Hag being called, to lose his job over this international break after losing against Brentford. I was worried personally. I want to see him succeed. I love his ambition. I love his desire. I love his kind of ruthlessness. Tactically, he understands what he's doing, but right now he's struggling to motivate his players. And that is an issue, and that's an issue that we need to work at. How do we get these players motivated enough and kind of have that fearlessness to control the ball and dominate the ball and not get pressed to death like we see with Brentford, like we see Galatasaray, like you see Brighton and Crystal Palace. Well, Crystal Palace sat off us, to be fair. But yeah, the boys need a little bit of belief, and life comes at you fast. Love that. 91st minute, clearing the ball. Loved it, didn't it? Beautiful. I'd like to see the security staff not turn up. No, I wouldn't want to see that, Scotty. We always got to see the fans safe. I was there at the Galatasaray game midweek, and I was speaking to the stewards, saying that these Galatasaray fans right next to us. Do you know what I mean? Get them out. You know, there's going to be a problem here. You know, we don't want to see away fans in the Manchester United sections. What I would call for is harsher and more enforceable kind of ticket removals at the gate. If a guy's wearing a Galatasaray scarf and a Galatasaray shirt and he's walking into the home end, what is going on? At the turnstile, you've got to go, whoa, no, this isn't at the away end. No, and even if they've got a ticket, sorry, you can't come in. Let's have a look at your ticket, thanks, pocket the ticket, goodbye. Yeah, no, you can't be having it in madness. I mean, I was surrounded by about 1,000 Galatasaray fans at the end of the game, and something that is atrocious, and I can't believe that we'd even witness that at Old Trafford. It's embarrassing, it's shameful, and it's down to the Glazers and the Glazer ownership, you know. Yeah, poor for Manchester United on that one. Rory says, Jackson, says Leeds are only 5th in the Championship as well. Wait, what? We don't talk about Leeds here. Go to Leeds TV. Do you know what I mean? This is Man United, mufcMPB, the home of all the latest Manchester United news, gossip, interviews. We've got Ben Jacobs on tomorrow with Anil Kondola, the esteemed journalist. We have also got some things coming up soon as well. Keep an eye on giveaways and stuff like that. So make sure you like and you subscribe. Likes helps us with the algorithm, and you know, we're all part of the big mufcMPB family here. Love to know your opinions, love to know your thoughts. Let us know in the chat, let us know in the comment section below if you're watching on demand. Also share with friends, family, the dogs, the cats, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Just get us spread out and spread the word. Fish says maybe it started with Rashford's back injury and Ollie forcing him to play. Well, you could look at the back injury, but then you look at last season and that was after the back injury. So this season is bizarre. It's strange. I think it's an effort issue. If I'm going to diagnose the problem with Marcus Rashford right now, I'm saying it's an effort issue. It's an application issue. He's not putting in the effort and he's not applying himself. Why is he not applying himself? Why is he not putting the effort? You could maybe look to a recent breakup he had with his long-time girlfriend. Maybe he's feeling a bit of the relationship blues. You know, that's not spoken about enough. You know, we all deal with our mental health issues, you know, and we're not all supermen, you know, we're not all impervious to, you know, life's issues. And he has recently, you know, I won't say lost his girlfriend, but he broke up with his long-time girlfriend. So maybe he's got a little bit of blues, and he's a little bit down at the moment. Who knows? But we need to have the best on-site psychologists and sports psychologists in there to be able to kind of build him up and build some belief and confidence back in him. So that should be what Manchester United are about. Same with what happened with Jadon Sancho and other players. You know, we've got to have the very best in sports psychologists and psychologists in general. We are one of the biggest, if not the biggest club in the world. Therefore, we should have the very best in all areas of the football club. It's madness. Tony says, you were in the stands. Were they cheering when Rashford came off? They were, Tony Bravo. We cheered. Now, I was questioning whether that's cheering for Garnacho coming on, but it did sound a little bit early. Like, it did sound a little like the fans were a little bit happy to see him go off, and I never want to see us cheer and celebrate players going off the football field. We're supporters at the end of the day, and I'm talking to you boys as well. I was at the Bayern Munich game, and I'm stood next to a guy, and all I kept hearing was him just calling out our players. Some horrific things I was hearing from him, and I stopped him. I said, mate, you're a supporter. That means you support your players. You support your team. I hate to see fans call and kind of lambast our players and lambast our club. Okay, it's understandable to feel a little bit disgruntled, keep it out, but screaming and shouting, calling out players, calling them all sorts of obscenities, I don't want to be seeing that. You got to big them up. You got to get behind your boys. You got to believe. Do you know what I mean? I never at any point just screaming and shouting I believe would work. You got to believe. Sky says, I'd like to see the security staff not turn up. We spoke about that, haven't we? Massive thoughts on Rashford being dumped. Thoughts on Rashford being dumped. I don't think he was dumped, was he? I think it was a mutual issue there. Cabello Ram says Garnacho is truly a game changer. I agree. He's so exciting to see him come on the football field, and he was close on my side up from the north stand. I was sat today, Sir Alex Ferguson stand, and every time he got on the ball, you have this expectation, you have this excitement, this hope that something's going to be done, something's going to be created. So, yeah, Garnacho, wonderful performer, and someone who you look to and you're excited to see come off the bench. Garnacho's a player that at Manchester United, should he be starting? Again, I think he's better off the bench from where he stands right now. But we'll see. I'm not sure if you've been aware, boys. You've seen the David Beckham have an interview. I'm not too sure if I should play this now. Don't know what that does. I'll play it anyway. I don't see we'll have too many issues. It should only be short.
United have snatched a late win. It's tough times for Eric Ten Hag, but could that be a turning point? It's difficult with the takeover kind of not quite happening for him. What do you think of that situation?
Well, let's see. I think he's a good coach. It is a difficult time at the moment, but there's a lot of noise around the club at the moment, so it can't be easy for him. We all want that noise to go away, and we all want a decision to be made for the club, for the fans, for the players, and for the manager as well, because we are one of the, if not the biggest club in the world, and we want stability, and I think that's the most important thing. We all have our favourites of who we feel that need to run the club and look after the club and take the club back to where it belongs, but in our eyes, in the fans' eyes, we're number one, and we want to be back at the top. And I believe I know the right people to do that. So,
would that be Sheikh Jassim? Could I ask?
We'll see.
David,
we'll see. That to me, I wouldn't read too much into that. I really wouldn't. I think that sounds a little bit more hope and desire rather than actual information. I think he obviously knows and is aware that the bid and they want to own the club, as we all know they want to own the club. It's just down to the Glazers, and we've seen over the last 6-12 months the way they handle the takeover has been no different to how they've handled transfers, how they've handled managerial appointments, how they've handled Ed Woodward and the board of directors. It's just slow. It's stale. They asked bidders and interested parties to make a bid for the club, and they offered 3 rounds of bidding. So make your bids. The first round of bidding went, and almost everybody dropped out, apart from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Sheikh Jassim, and a Swedish consortium, I believe it was. The Glazers came back, the Rain Group came back and said the bid's not good enough. We'll go to a second round of bidding. Let's hear your thoughts, and you need to improve your bids. Second round of bidding came, again, the Glazers came back and said, well, it's not good enough. It's not enough. We want more. We want more. The third round of bidding came a few months after that, which was said to be the final round of bidding. And what you've got to bear in mind is, when you enter an auction, almost in 99% of cases, the highest bidder generally is the winner, unless there's a reserve. Now, the Glazers can say, oh yeah, we're entitled to not accept the bids. But at the end of the day, when you look at the value of the club in the New York Stock Exchange, you look at what it's listed at, and it's around about $3.8 billion. That's what it's valued at. $3.8 billion, by the way. It's viewed as on the New York Stock Exchange and by the shareholders who own parts of Manchester United. They've been offered $5 billion. They've been offered, $1.2 billion more than what the stock market and the world values the club at. What you've got to bear in mind as well, lads, is this was an open bid process. Almost anybody could have came in and attempted to buy Manchester United. This wasn't a closed bidding scenario where they wanted specific buyers so that they could remain in control of the club. They opened the bidding process to everybody, to the world's richest men, to the richest corporations, the richest conglomerates. And they all said, we think you value it a little bit too high. Yeah, okay, the brand is worth a lot of money. The Manchester United as a brand is worth a lot of money. But when you investigate and you look at the stadium and you look at the performances on the field, you look at the training facilities, you look at the whole assets of the club, then really there's a lot that needs to be invested there. So is there that much money to be gained and to be earned from owning Manchester United? So a lot of people who were looking to buy the club as almost a profit-making exercise walked away and said, yeah, we're not interested. Now you've got almost like a vanity project, if not, a boyhood dream of Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and then also potentially a boyhood dream of Sheikh Jassim. So these are players who just love the club and want to buy the club because they don't care about the value of the club. They just want to own the club and be a part of Manchester United. They've already far exceeded the valuations of the stock exchange and the rest of the market valued Manchester United at. So what are the Glazers doing? The Glazers are holding on to the club. Now, to play devil's advocate for a moment, what you can say is Manchester United aren't going to be worth any less in the near future, unless there's an absolute collapse in form and, we end up getting relegated and which you can't really see happening. But you see, for the last 10 years, we've struggled to come close to a Premier League title, and yet we're there front page. Well, every single time when you look at any media organisation, sports-wise, it's always about Manchester United. We know that as Manchester United fans. You listen to TalkSport, you listen to Sky Sports, TNT. It's always we're the main attraction. I'm not trying to be big-headed and be conceited in that. That's just true. We've not won anything for the last 10 years significantly, yet we are still the hot item. We're still the most discussed. A journalist once said, "You will never go poor from talking about Manchester United." Now, the Glazers know that and they understand that. So they're just kind of keeping the cards close and holding on for the value to be increased consistently and constantly. You see the potential avenue of revenue for the new Champions League structure with almost 100 new games being played across all clubs, and then you've got the potential for the new World Cup, which could be massive. The amount of revenue and the amount of money and the interest that could be brought in worldwide from the potential new FIFA Club World Cup is going to be incredible. I mean, Manchester United playing Boca Juniors, River Plate, Club America, going around the world, Gamba Osaka, Orlando Pirates, South African teams, and going all around the world. There's a potential for a lot of money there, and maybe the Glazers are feeling they don't want to leave any money on the table. So that they're holding out and they're waiting for bigger bids. It's a tough spot we're in. Again, if you ask me, I can't see this deal being done anytime soon. I think this is going to be and potentially 18 months. I hate to say it, boys, and I'm sorry to say, but this is with the Glazers. We know things take a long time. Look how long they held on to Ed Woodward. Look how long they held on to Ollie. Although we loved Ollie. Look how long they take to do transfer deals. We've seen, time after time, them taking multiple windows to eventually overpay for players. Maguire, we could have bought him in the first window for 50 million. We was like, oh, do we buy him? Do we not buy him? Or we'll wait. We end up buying him the next summer for 80 million. Madness. Jadon Sancho again. Just deals being brought out and being stretched out. It's just how the Glazers run the club, unfortunately. Mash's thoughts on Rashford being dumped. Read that one. Mike says that means nothing. Plus, he's in Qatar and is an ambassador for Qatar. What else will he say? I agree with you there, Mike. It's just lip service, isn't it? Mash says it's very unethical to back out on a final bid. I don't believe Sheikh Jassim and Sir Jim Ratcliffe are backing out. It's looking like the Glazers potentially will be backing out of the bid. They've said nothing as of yet, but right now, for all intents and purposes, they are not accepting those bids. And the bidders, they're not increasing their bids, so we're at a stalemate right now. And the Glazers are just waiting, they're holding off. They would have accepted the money. And this is the daft thing. If they get the money now, with the interest rates of the world banks, and they'd be making more money, consistently having that money in the bank. So I don't understand why they don't accept the money, put it in the bank, and reap the rewards from the interest rates, because they'll be earning big money at the moment. But again, terrible ownership, terrible business acumen. The reason being, these boys weren't bred into money. Do you know what I mean? These boys didn't create their own money. Sorry, they were bred into money. Their father was the genius. He was the man who made the money. He was the bread maker, the breadwinner in that family. Malcolm Glazer initially bought Manchester United. These kids, they don't really know what they're doing. When I say kids, they're old men. But it's shown time after time that the business acumen is just not there for them. They're constantly having to take out loans on the American businesses. They've had to constantly take out loans and dividends from Manchester United. They've run the club basically into the ground. The stadium and the infrastructure is falling apart, collapsing almost. There's leaks in the roof. You know, I look around the seats. The seats are all dilapidated and old and rusty. I'm looking at the walk into Old Trafford. Loads of signs and the steps are all dirty. You know what? One of the most frustrating parts of me is I come in from the north, the northwest, the northeast. The northwest quadrant I come in from. And there's a set of steps there that as you walk up to from the coaches, and it's the car park, and they've got the Welcome to Old Trafford sign. The steps there, they've not had a lick of paint for years. Not only have they not had a lick of paint, they've not been spray painted. Just get a jet wash out. Pay someone to get a jet wash out and clean them. They're all manky, full of mould. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'd go down there and do that with a jet wash, just so that my club is represented well. It's embarrassing. And I looked many times. I should go. You know what? Maybe during this international break, what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to have a walk around at Old Trafford and do a video of all the kind of the things that need to be fixed and need to be repaired at Old Trafford, because I go there every game, almost every game, and I look and I see so much that's wrong, that's not of the standard and the quality of Manchester United, and it's poor and it's embarrassing, and we need to do better, and the Glazers need to do better, and we're desperate for new owners. You know, it's just how it is. As Goldbridge said, we as United are practically being held ransom by the Glazers and will not let go. 5 billion is fair. I think maybe 6-7 billion and they sell, but again, you know, 5 billion is fair. 5 billion is fair. How's it going, Craig? Nice to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. Nice to see you. Craig McD said, reckon they're holding out north of 6 billion. They've even spoken of wanting 10 billion. It's absolute madness. Mash says, oh yeah, I meant as to say the Glazers to say, oh, this is the final bid, as they say, we don't know about that. Yeah. The Glazers, I mean, we know, again, I'll repeat myself, Malcolm was the businessman. These kids, they're not businessmen. You know, you've seen, they just got lucky in the father, you know, was such an intelligent man to be able to, you know, rinse and kind of rip off Manchester United, and they've just been reaping the rewards ever since. And I think they're scared to let it go because, you know what, 5 billion should be enough to live the rest of your life. It really should. They'll split it, you know, 1 billion each, 700 million each. But maybe they're scared to know that if they let go of Manchester United, then they lose potential revenue for the future. They lose that security blanket. Maybe they don't want to let go because it's part of the father's legacy. Who knows? But we've got to get them out of the club. We've got to get them out. You know, we are not looking like any sort of, you know, big in football institution when you come to the stadium, when you see the training ground, you know, with the lack of investment and renovations. We are in the last, I think, 5-10 years, we are bottom of investment in infrastructure and stadium. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough, boys, and it won't be. Take it out of the bid, 6 billion. Does that include the 1 billion debt? So half billion to Glazers. The pay off debt, it's confusing. Yeah. So right now, potentially Qatar will have to pay off the debt. So, in fact, how it actually works, unless there's a sign over of the debt on Qatar, the Qataris will have to pay the Glazers, and the Glazers will then have to wipe the debt. So, as it stands, it's the total amount, including the debt. Sky, that's a video that would get serious views. Ash Meppers jet wash stream. Me jet washing Old Trafford, going down there. Mate, I'm going down there with a jet wash. I'm getting my Karcher, I'm going down and I'm jet washing the steps. I'm sick of walking at these steps. Next. By the way, I've got a match vlog coming out tomorrow, boys, of the game today. Make sure you're watching. Make sure you go subscribe on my channel, Ash Meppers. I just do match vlogs. This is where we get the content with the news and all the latest Manchester United info and gossip, and I have your opinions. And, you know, fantastic interview tomorrow coming up with Anil Kondola, our man from TalkSport, who'll be interviewing Ben Jacobs, the esteemed Manchester United journalist. So make sure you're subscribed, and you're going to be watching that one tomorrow. Make sure, if you're not already, hit the like button as well. Greedy, bad, lazy businessmen. It's so weird. They're basically incompetent because they never had to work for anything. They could have made so much money if they had put effort into the club. I agree, Fish. I think they were scared to put money into the club. I believe that they didn't have the business acumen to understand that the club was always going to earn money and was always going to do well. I think early on, I think if you was to go and ask them right now, do you regret not investing more into Manchester United in the early years? I think they would say yeah. I think 100% they would say yeah, because I believe they were a little bit cautious, thinking that this football bubble, this football world would kind of cease to exist because they're American and they're not accustomed to European sports and football itself. They didn't realise that football isn't going anywhere. We're not in a bubble. Football will always, Manchester United fans will always turn up at the stadium. Those gate revenues, what we make every single week through ticket sales, something like 2.5 million, I believe more. I've not checked the figures of late, but in the millions we make every single home game, and then we've got the cup games, we've got the international friendlies that come to Old Trafford from time to time. We should really be hosting massive events at Old Trafford. You see Etihad take control of that, and they've had Coldplay and Taylor Swift and Oasis and all these big performances at the Etihad. This should be happening at Manchester United. The stadiums, the concerts, the Euros even should be held at Manchester United at Old Trafford, but because the stadium isn't up to the condition to be a major international host, that we're losing out on these massive events, and we're losing out on this revenue again, down to bad businessmen, down to bad business acumen. It's poor, it's weak. Considering the money that needs to be put into the club, it's more than fair about the 5 billion. I agree completely. I wouldn't be surprised if they want 6 billion and sign the debt over to new owners so they walk away with as much as possible. I wouldn't be surprised as well, Craig. They've been taught that they wanted 10 billion, 9-10 billion. It's absolute madness. When you look at the clearest indication of what the club is valued at is the market cap on the New York Stock Exchange, and it values us at around 3.7 billion, and they want 5 billion. It's madness. Make sure, boys, if you've not already, to drop a like on the stream. Make sure you also followed our Twitter, mufcMPB. Bring you all the latest Manchester United news. Well done on the win today, boys. Thank you very much, Diggy Dot. Beckham's had his save. Brandon Williams also scored his second goal for Ipswich today. He scored a last-minute equaliser this past week. So, yeah, he's been doing all right over there. What else we got to bring you? Let me just check through their thoughts on Harry Maguire's performance today. I thought it was a fantastic performance from Harry today. Victor Lindelof needs to be shifted away from the centre back. He's not strong enough. He gets pushed over, he gets bullied a little bit too much, and you even saw with today's goal. Scrappy. He puts the ball right back into the centre, the penalty spot, and we concede from it. Victor Lindelof needs to be hauled out of the team, I believe. Scott McTominay, we've already read this one. What a saviour. We also saw the Glazers out protest today outside the ticketing and the membership services, which is hilarious because just to the right of ticketing and membership services, there's a hospitality suite and a tent there where the Glazers charge exorbitant amounts of money for tickets and match day experiences. What would be a regular ticket of around 56 up to 69 pounds, you have to pay 150 all the way up to 450 pounds basically for a meal. That's it, basically, for a meal, and to have a player walk around, one of the old Man United legends walk around and come say the hellos, and it's madness. It's an absolute rip-off, and we're seeing more and more the Glazers trying to squeeze as much as they can out of the club without putting anything back into the team. It's poor. I felt Mason Mount had a good performance today. Rafa Varane not in the team today. We need to bring in centre backs. We're desperate for a centre back. He should have been supported in the January transfer window. You saw with Kim Min-jae. You saw with the potential Todibo and Tapsoba and even Antonio Silva that we've been linked with. We're desperate for centre-backs. We've got 4 players, 4 of our starting back 4 out right now. Luke Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Varane and Lisandro Martinez. So it's not good enough at Manchester United. But again, all down to Glazer ownership. And not just when it comes to... You hear fans and you hear rivals talk about, well, you get enough money, the manager spent enough money and all that. But it's bigger than that, because you look at the backroom staff, you look at the coaches, you look at the conditioning... sports scientists. We've had the same conditioning sports scientists now since 2012. That have they've progressed and they've moved up in the club, but they've been there since 2012. Erik Ten Hag wanted to bring in his own conditioning coach. That was vetoed by the Glazers. It was vetoed by, I believe, the Glazers. I mean, I hope it wasn't John Murtough and Richard Arnold, but you see, it's not good enough. You look at John Murtough himself. He was chief of women's football. He was a director of football at Everton, a director of football at Fulham. Is he worthy of being the director of football at the biggest club in the world? I don't believe so, no. There's talk about Berta. I posted a couple of days ago, when I can find it. I reposted the information that we posted here on mufcMPB that Manchester United want to bring in Atletico Madrid sporting director Andrea Berta. Here's some of his notable transfer dealings. Now, you look at these transfer dealings, fantastic. You know, you look at Jimenez, what a centre-back. You know, he brought in for 896,000. David Villa from Barcelona went on to perform admirably for, okay, a little bit old, but performed admirably for Atletico Madrid. And then Jan Oblak, what a signing again from Benfica. Jan Oblak probably been the best goalkeeper the last five years in European football. Yannick Carrasco, they've earned some good money by sending him to China and bringing him back in. Diogo Jota from Pacos Ferreira, the Diogo Jota who's now succeeding at Liverpool. You look at Rodri from Villarreal, that Rodri who is now at Manchester City, considered the best CDM in the league. Thomas Lemar, serviceable player, probably overpaid for him, never reached the heights and the talent that he was supposed to. But Arsene Wenger apparently bid 55 million at the time. So Berta wasn't alone in believing that this kid would be a talent. And João Felix for 114 million again. You know, Real Madrid, Manchester United, Juventus, all putting in big bids for João Felix and was looking like he was going to go to be a superstar. Unfortunately, that. But when you look at them signings, you know, Marcus Llorente, fabulous midfielder. Alvaro Morata, serviceable striker. You know, we could have done with Alvaro Morata over the last couple of years. You know, you look at them numbers, you look at them players. Those are top players that would improve and go on to be a fantastic attribute and just a players at our club. So bringing in someone like Andrea Berta, who actually knows football, has got the connections, has got the links, we need to be doing that. Whether we do it or not, I'm not too sure. We're just going to have to wait and see with that one. Oblak for 14 million. Oof, fantastic signing. You know the funny part about Oblak for 14 million, in the first couple of weeks, if I remember correctly, let me try and remember this, because I believe in the first couple of weeks, Atletico Madrid wasn't happy with him. And they wanted to send him back to Benfica. And because Oblak kind of burnt his bridges at Benfica and kind of called out the board and stuff like that, they said, no, we don't want him back. You keep him now. He's your problem. I mean, he was a big problem for Atletico Madrid, wasn't he? You know, he's been fantastic for them and gone on to... I mean, imagine if they would have sent him back as well. How different Atletico Madrid's future would have been. That would have been interesting to see. Fish says Murto said no to 30 million for McTominay in the summer. Look what that got us today. Murto madness. And just look at the amount of United spent with the proper board. They'd probably be negotiate deals quicker and for a much fairer price. How many times have we seen that we've had to overpay players because we've come in late? Seen with Fellaini when there was a buyout clause, and then we missed the buyout clause, and then we have to go and pay more money for him. Look at Anthony. Anthony, we were told, Ajax told us, you can have him for 50 million, but just let us know that you want him for 50 million. It was like, oh, we're not sure. Actually, yeah, we'll have him. You're too late. We can't get a replacement. He's going to cost you 70 million. It was daft. Madness. Absolute madness. Thank you very much for tuning in today, boys. Make sure you, if you've not already, to like, subscribe, post your comments, share, all that kind of good stuff. Make sure to be following at mufcMPB, my Twitter and X as well, at Meppers. I'm going to be bringing you the match blog from today's game for tomorrow. Fantastic. If you've watched the Galatasaray match blog, that's up to 18,000 views now on YouTube, so fantastic. And we're doing fantastic over there on the match blogs, so make sure to keep an eye out on those boys, and anybody from over there we'll be bringing straight over to here to be part of the MFUFC community. Make sure to keep an eye out on Anton Brooks. Tomorrow we've got Anil Condola with Ben Jacobs, esteemed journalist, so keep an eye out for that interview. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Come on, United. Let's go. I'm going to say my byes now. Take care, boys. Take care, Diggy Dot, Scatty, Twitter Legend, Mash, Craig, and the rest of you boys. Have missed any comments, make sure to come see me again on Monday. I'll be back on Monday. We'll talk more about this fantastic performance and many other things. But have a great night tonight. Hope you enjoy your evening. Let's go, boys. Come on, United. United. Let's go. Come on. What a win. We're back.